Let's look at what passes for a plot on the penultimate episode of the series, and as a second act on the Quest for the Lost Scrolls DVD. And the only thing that you would really need to know at this point is that Alex can slightly use the manacle, and they found a small part of the scrolls. Talk about being able to jump on at any point. We begin in Egypt, where Imhotep is about to have a bad start to his day.
When I possess the other two pieces, the puzzle shall lead me to the scrolls.
I'm afraid your journey ends now, Mummy.
And as usual for the show, we get questionable continuity through poor animation, and us once again questioning why the hell does Imhotep need the scrolls to rule anything? He can make statues come to life and can make homing fireballs. Doesn't really seem like he's hurting for power.
He's getting away. Why aren't you turning him into a melted marshmallow?
Silence! Finding the other pieces of the puzzle shall require his unique assistance.
We move on to find Alex and some kid who has never been seen before, if you watch this like it's presented on the DVD. Though, I'm guessing it wouldn't matter even if you had watched the actual series all the way through.
What's that? Oh, nothing. Just something I found on one of my mom's digs. It looks magical.
And the kid is either psychic or the writers are idiots. Given this show, I know which one I'd go for. Alex uses the manacle to help him do chores, which apparently also makes the gate open on its own, and is seen by the same kid from before who is for some reason spying on him. And by some reason, I mean plot convenience. Meanwhile, Rick gets a letter from Ardith Bay and for some reason slowly slides into a questioning tone as he reads it.
One piece of the puzzle of Horus should lead us to the scrolls. Come to Egypt at once. I will see you in Kadri. Bring Alex. We will need the manacle of Osiris.
But look, it's time for another convenient moment.
Horus was the son of Osiris. He created the puzzle to project a vision of where the scrolls of Thebes would be.
Didn't she just say she'd exhausted all options?
Terrible. I don't know what we're going to do. We've exhausted every clue I can think of.
Almost makes me think she doesn't really give a shit. Evie reveals that the puzzle can be found by the person wearing the manacle. So, obvious thought here, if Alex, who's wearing the manacle, can find the puzzle, and the puzzle can lead you to the scrolls, then why have you been wasting all this goddamn time looking in vain for the scrolls instead of the puzzle? If you're going to pull something like this out of your ass, then by God, at least have a reason for having forgotten about it. Once they're in Egypt, they learn that the kid from earlier has stowed away on board and been in that closet for what would at least be a day's journey, if not a little more. Good God, nobody else open or look in that closet. The kid tries to defend his position on why he should be allowed to stay.
Mrs. O'Connell, I read Bram Stoker's The Mummy cover to cover. Don't worry, I can handle myself out there.
Which is completely stupid because Bram Stoker did not write a book called The Mummy. It was called The Jewel of the Seven Stars. And I know that's being nitpicky, but it takes 2 seconds to Google these things and would make it seem a lot more plausible that he'd read the book. Especially since that book never has anyone fighting an actual mummy. Pretty sure that Abbott and Costello did more to fight a mummy. They leave the kid with Jonathan and head off, leaving their Zeppelin at the hands of Imhotep, who arrives soon after. Because idiots. Imhotep catches up with the O'Connells, which makes me wonder why he stopped in the first place and how he knew where they were. But no time for that, we've got more plot convenience as the trapdoor they need to find just so happens to have been blown open by Imhotep. Because what's the point of the protagonists actually doing something in the plot? Let's just have them blunder into each and every plot point. Finding the second piece, Alex, and I can't believe I get to say this, tries to kill Imhotep with a forklift, which actually just distracts him for long enough for the others to combine the pieces and head off for the next one. Despite it turning out they were only about 30 feet or so away. The O'Connells board a train for their next stop, with Imhotep spotting them. Possibly through a window, and I'm starting to think that being undead so long has made Imhotep a wee bit shittier villain. Also, fucking seriously? The train just happens to pass by? The show is really playing it fast and loose with its convenience. Apparently, not thinking about the element of surprise, Imhotep just straight up confronts them, despite the whole use them to lead him to the rest of the puzzle thing. The train is wrecked, and luckily they manage to pull a switch on Imhotep, giving them the time to reach the third and final piece. But first, Alex and the kid have to be swallowed by a giant monster that Imhotep summons. Seriously, once again, why does he need the scrolls? He doesn't seem to be weakened at all. Just asking. The O'Connells reach the third piece, and the kid comes in useful after all by putting it together.
It's a holographic vision.
It's Paris! Finally, a city with a little class.
I don't know. It seems a little small. You sure it's not a fake one? Like in Vegas or something? The Manacle, as usual, does its little Deus Ex Machina, allowing the O'Connells to escape. Which ends up the episode. I think. Once again, I'm using the DVD here, which combines 3 episodes into a supposed feature-length movie. So I have to kind of guess where one ends and the other begins. For a penultimate episode, this thing's a mess. A character we've possibly never seen before is brought in and is essentially just Alex 2.0. And it's not like he has any real point to what's going on, even when they tried to make him seem useful at the end in putting the puzzle together. It feels like they just tacked it on. The magical MacGuffin for this episode is suddenly brought up and found all in the requisite time, instead of, say, being spread out over a few episodes to build up suspense, which might have been a better idea than cramming the search for a rather important object into one 20-minute episode. And why does Imhotep change his game plan from letting them gather the pieces at the beginning to just attacking them at every opportunity, including one which I still say is way too convenient? He just so happens to be standing at just the right spot to see the train they were on and knew they were on it, and instead of attacking by surprise, he just walks in there? Seriously, that either makes him the most polite villain in existence, or the stupidest. And then, there's still that whole thing about why he needs the scrolls in the first place, because when it comes to power, it seems like he could have Egypt shaking to their core by raising a finger. And speaking of raising a finger, that's what I feel like doing to this episode, especially what I feel like the writers did to anyone who watched it. But for now, I've been Tyas, and this has been Tyas Looks At, and I'll cover the finale at some point in a full review, but until then, I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching this video. If you want to be kept up to date with new content and show some support for the show, you can find our page on Facebook, find me on Twitter at Tyas Looks At, or subscribe to this channel on Dailymotion. Or if you want to support the show even further, you can find it on patreon.com/TyasLooksAt. Supporting the show will give you access to videos earlier than anyone else, additional bonus reviews, as well as other perks, and allow me to spend more time making content like this. In any way, shape or form you choose to show your support to the show, thanks for watching.